Hey, Mr. Five here. Our old Governor Cuomo is running for mayor.
Mayor, how much control do you have in your future?
If you were a moderate Democrat in New York City and the guy that you supported in the last election finds himself in all this trouble, you may say, I don't like that, but look, I have an alternative. My guy is now Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, he has some skeletons. Okay, but as we have seen in the White House, you can have a cemetery's worth of skeletons in your closet and get elected president. So, okay, Andrew has some skeletons.
The independent investigation has concluded that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed multiple women.
I wake up every day hoping that he'll find some ethics and some moral compass and decide that this is not the right thing for him. How am I going to spend every moment of this day preventing this monster from becoming the mayor of my city, the city that my daughter lives in?
This is Taxes.
New York City's new mayoral candidate doesn't have a problem with name recognition.
Andrew Cuomo's in the house. Give him a big round of applause.
Thank you,
Governor Cuomo in New York.
Cuomo resigned in 2021 after a series of allegations of sexual harassment. But in a race where the mayor is under scrutiny for federal corruption charges, I think Cuomo saw this opportunity and he wants to make a political comeback. And eventually 11 women came forward to say that they had been sexually harassed by Cuomo.
In my mind, I've never crossed the line with anyone. I didn't realize the extent to which the line has been redrawn.
At the same time, Cuomo was receiving growing criticism for his handling of the nursing home deaths and his pursuit of a $5 million book contract during the pandemic.
Former Governor Andrew Cuomo says he wants to become New York City's next mayor, joining an already crowded Democratic primary field, including current Mayor Eric Adams, looking to secure the nomination.
New York City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams is now running for mayor. She joins a growing list of candidates, including former Governor Andrew Cuomo and current Mayor Eric Adams.
New York State old Governor Cuomo, who Mario Cuomo, I do have, Andrew Cuomo, I do have some, a lot of dealings with him. I guess I could speak as an activist, as an organizer, a person who had to represent many organizations. I met with Alfonso all the time, his personal aide. First of all, I love his personal aide at that time. He was the glue that kept him connected to all these different communities, all these different networks. I'd pull up to meetings, it'd be Fortune, it'd be Osborne, president of this organization, and we all around the table. Now, Cuomo is a guy that's like dealing with a mobster. Like, dealing with him, with Halt, it was a problem, right? Because he represents the correctional officers, he represents unions, and he sort of stands on that, and it was a battle back and forth, and we really had to get supermajority and votes and do dramatic shit. Like, I had to do like a concert in front of his office on the lobby day of the bill with a movie, a documentary with Disney and K-Slay and rappers with mics on and Chi Ali, and going upstate, then doing documentary films, and then going to the upstate counties, and then lobbying every lobby day, but then all throughout the session, all through the session in the summer. Like, bro, it took a lot. Right? From movies to documentaries to Rikers documentaries to the city bill. Then we had the Intro 42, then Intro 292A, then all these other bills that led up to that. And then, like, it was a 10-year fight. So I can go on and on about a whole video about solitary confinement and the work that I've done to sort of advocate for that, and the tools that I made for advocates and other survivors to use, which is continuous movements, because that's what you do when you organize it. You create movements that live without you. Like, if it could live without me, then good. I'll just work over here and continue to feed that while I'm building other things, right? So, I think he's going to wipe the floor with Adams, first of all. If you say him and Adams, because he's the front runner and he's supported by the Democratic Party already. He's got their nomination. He's got the experience with city and government. Cuomo also was horrible during COVID. Like, I was the head of the oversight board for COVID-19 in the city. And that can be a whole nother video, like a whole nother vlog about that. But I do think he's going to bring the expertise. He has a base of supporters already. He basically has a vote of every Italian American in New York. His dealings with the nursing homes was problematic. He was dealing with a lot. I don't think he had a complete system of like most governors don't build that level of community advocates and CBOs and NGOs that are right there at the disposal to help them run the state. He always was combative with the mayors, right? So that he had problems with that. Running 62 counties takes representing all those voices. And sometimes those voices didn't agree with the 6 counties, especially in criminal justice, that all of the people incarcerated are coming from. And so he played this middleman a lot. I think that it was Cuomo that we really started establishing the advocating at the governor's office. Like, we were out there like every week, rallies all the time, different issues from parole reform to rap. He was able to keep people mediated at a point and at a distance. His Alfonso, amazing. Facilitating the Drop the Rock campaign, even though he got a lot of credit, it was done administrations before him. That competition between him and the city made people sort of look at him as this figure that wasn't going to go away. And then he got reelected and then, just stayed in office. I can say as an activist, he was sometimes difficult to work with because, as most governors were, he would say no on a lot of criminal justice issues, but when you came with the power of people to push him back, it would then fold and then it would get passed and he would, sign off of it. But it was a fight. And that little bit of a fight allowed for other things in damaging his side to continue on. And it made the progress that we made in the long term probably could have made in the short term. But his resistance and knowing how to play the politics made that game. He had some sexual offenses, some issues, some cases, some Me Too shit going on, which was horrible. And then when it comes to public safety, I just don't feel like he worked in the poorest communities and worked from the bottom up. Now, as a mayor, he would have to work from the bottom up. I would be really interested to hear his views on how he would address the city, coming from a state perspective. I'm not worried about him being able to navigate the political spectrum. We all know he's going to do that well. He does have a well-experienced track record with administrations that have been established for a long time. So working with like Department of Education, the city, all its finances, I'm sure he will not have a problem with. It's just that Cuomo can get restrictive at times, right? He starts to feel like the city is his and he doesn't need the CBOs, and then rallies will start, and then next thing you know, he's dealing with more protesters than he is support. And being on a mayor level, it's a lot different from the governor level. Like on a governor level, I had to be upstate to try to catch him sometimes. Like in the city, we'll be on you. Like, you can't be the mayor and think that you're going to avoid us. You're an everyday occurrence. So you have to be in the people and with the people more. I don't think he has that much love for people of color. I'm just going to be honest. Like Italian Americans, he will defend. He fought back when we wanted to take Columbus Day away. Like, he wanted to fight for that as a proud Italian American, which is good. But we don't need another mob style governance. And I think that with the city, you'll be dealing with more people of color than anybody. I think that you have a problem. Okay, let me say his strengths. I think he won't let Donald Trump push him around. I know that. I can say that. He will stand up to the federal government. He won't be Republican and bend the knee and be on this shit. I think he's the strongest Democratic candidate. I think that I would love to meet and talk with the socialist candidate. He's number 3. And see if we can find out what his goals and aspirations is for New York and what he wants to do and how we could support Zelen in his work. But also, I think Cuomo, if I had to bet on who would win this race, it would definitely be Andrew Cuomo because he has the experience. He also has the track record. He has a pocket of support, and he also has Democratic Party support. Will he bring the drastic change that we need? No. I don't think that he will invest millions into the communities. I don't think he would make a change and say, let's take the civil forfeiture money and make sure it goes to CBOs. Let's handle the gun violence work. Let's handle justice impacted supportive housing for young adults rather than attacking them and arresting them in the subways. Like, let's create solutions in the city that stop the progress of us all that impacts the state. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. I would love to sit down and talk to him and figure out what is his plans and what he's actually plan on doing rolling out. I think that when it comes to backdoor bribes and greasing palms for certain contracts and making sure certain unions that support you get paid in the other end, he's great at being a politician and doing all that. He's going to shuckle and jive and make sure that those construction unions that want those contracts, those people that want those millions, and those people that want those billions are going to support him, so he'll win. But will he say, look at New York 15, it's a shame of the country. It is the poorest district in the United States of America, and I'm not doing anything actively to support that district. I'm not sitting down with Salamanca as the mayor and saying, how can I do a walkthrough of what's the greatest needs, survival needs, for my citizens in this district to uplift that district? He's not talking to, I would say Chantel, but it's sad that in this district it's politics, it's slander, it's a lot of BS, a lot of show off, and you're not really doing much. You're just supporting a lot of CBOs who are doing survival methods. And like I said, I've had my own city councilwoman post on Instagram like, I ain't got no food this Thanksgiving, so don't ask me for no damn turkeys. Like, you know, I've had that attitude. And so, or you get that council member who's like, I support my friend's nonprofit and that's it, and they're not going to care about anybody else. There's a responsibility and a duty that comes with service in the city, and I don't think I've met a candidate that 100% loves New York that much. That they're willing to work with everybody to bring a bipartisan structure to the greatest city in the world. I think that there's so much room for corruption that sadly, as New Yorkers, we expect it. We don't expect petty corruption. Like Cuomo wouldn't accept it. No airplane flights. I tell you that. You had to come with something for that boy. Like, you know, but there's ways of getting around it, right? Like, I'm gonna give you an example, right? I wanted to do Escape from Dannemora, and we needed to get my boy Eric Jensen was doing the film with Ben Stiller, and we were shooting it in the Orange Studio, who happens to be studio was used by my friend Piper Kerman for Orange and Black. So there's a lot going on. So what I needed to do was I need to get Ben Stiller into the facilities and to be able to, you know, connect and get him in so that he could see how it's sort of structured, but get him access to the facilities, because I need him to go to Clinton. And Clinton was never seen by nobody. Nobody ever seen it. We had this huge escape. Nobody wanted to talk about it. The governor didn't want to talk about it. It was an issue. And the fault was really the guards, the jail guards, right? But it's put in this act. So watch the series for that. It's on HBO. It's on HBO Max. I think it's on Max now. So I had to get Catherine, who runs RTA, Rehabilitation Studio RTA. They had a great film, Sing. Dominguez did Sing, which is amazing. Domingo, love his work. Black actor, let's go. And so I had to get her to let Ben Stiller in to get the tour, and then Ben Stiller got in, and then we did set production, and everything was so great. We hired 250 something people who were previously incarcerated. Forget the actors, let's put people right back in the cells. It was an amazing series. I can make another video about that. But I had to get one of his favorite actors to play him in order to get the clearance, just to get the drone clearance, so we could shoot and film the facility. And the film was incredible. It showed the public what really happened and circumstances and conditions for people inside, but also the circumstances of the facility, what it's like. For the first time, people was able to see where their husbands and family members have been spending most of their lives and decades and centuries of this mountainous, right next door to Canada facility. But we worked with him to get the permissions and the clearance. for certain scenes, I wanted to hire Doc's officers because I didn't want to show new actors doing it. I wanted to hire the officer who was an asshole on that unit in the film, in the series. And I was able to do that because the governor allowed it, right? So in some sense, he does do things on a progressive note. We've closed a lot of prisons and jails. Like my godmother, Elaine Bartlett, he advocated for her release. He gave her clemency and showed up to the Drop the Rock campaign with Russell Simmons and Jay-Z and went to the concert and supported it and did PR with her and all that stuff and helped her with her book and her programs and helped her put Columbia University inside, which really rolled off the back of the emergence of women coming out of prison, the subject of that. Like, he has done a lot. But the sexual abuse, the sort of violation of women, the machismo, the mafia style mayor that we're probably going to have, he has to change. And I don't know if he's going to be able to structure and govern on a city level and give the people who are doing the work to hold this city together their respect and their flowers and their due support. So if he can do that, he would be a good mayor. He would honestly work through the system and help us to the time we get a new candidate. But I do believe we need fresh blood, fresh views. I would love to see these new candidates in a position of actually getting into this race. And I think that New York deserves someone who's going to be a mayor for New York and not, this is my way back into politics, or let me use the city once again to try to get my way into this or get me out of this. And like, we don't need none of that, man. We need somebody who cares and loves our city and wants us to do good. And we need more philanthropists like the David Prize. The David Prize gives activists and organizers who are supporting New York City and doing amazing work, just give them $200,000. Like, we know you're doing the work. No, we're not going to go through the bureaucracy. We're not going to have you have this to absorb them. Just give it to the person doing it. And so if Cuomo comes in with a new energy, like, I'm going to help the people doing the work. I know you're doing the work already. I know you're organizing leaders. I know you're doing these events to help justice impact young people. I know you're supporting people previously incarcerated. I know you're doing reentry. I know you're doing needle operation and drug reduction and harm reduction. I know you're doing safe passageways and immigration. I'm just going to support everybody doing the work. Let's continue to work together in the city. I'm just going to be able to run the things administratively. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing that. I'll be the outlet for that. That's the type of mayor we need to utilize the immense, powerful, giant activists and organizations you have here in the city. We have the most educational institutions in the city. We need a mayor to be going to all these universities and colleges, speaking to young people and creating platforms that integrate them into office work, right? If you're going to lead the Democratic Party, then lead them into a new phase of getting the best and the brightest minds that we have to support the greatest city that we have. And so our failures lies at the feet of the people that we hand this responsibility and the duty of helping us into. Because once we give them that power, once we put them in that position, we can't even get an appointment or a lunch or a meeting to discuss the things that we said we were going to do when we helped you get into that position. And so we need a lawyer. I mean, we need a mayor who's loyal. We need a mayor to be the mayor of New York City and not the mayor for their own personal position and support. Mr. Five, credible message on the move and the rise.